Hey everyone, this is Nathan from Team 52455A. I was our team's captain, builder, designer, programmer, and writer of the engineering notebook. It's my senior year and our whole team is graduating, so I wanted to share the robot design we chose for Worlds. We did pretty well. We ranked 14th in technology. We were the 12th seed, and then we upset the 5th seed before we lost in the semifinals. For this robot, we went with an 8-motor drive we rebuilt after States. We had a pretty standard robot at States, but it was a little bit too heavy. It's 600 RPM on 2.75-inch wheels. It's at the bottom right here. You got 8 motors stacked here, put the battery in the middle. And so we have Omni wheels here, and then just for a better barrier cross, flex wheels, and a just drilled high strength axle. To connect the top, we did also in a minute, we did something a little bit unique. You're not able to see it now, but we put pillow bearings, and I can show the spacers. We had to drill spacers to be able to fit those motors just to save weight, not have to put another bar. So like I mentioned, we have an 8-motor drive, so we have no motors on the intake. It's a passive ratchet right here. So we're able to spin when we drive up again on tiles. It's not, I don't think it'll work right here. Kind of works. On tiles, we're able to get enough traction just to slide in, ratchet in here, and then it gets caught. It can't come out. And of course, we can also top feed. We're able to top feed very fast, quickly cycle. We could cycle 2 tri-balls before other teams could even cycle 1. So we're able to also play defense like that. And then, of course, when we drop to the goal, it'll come up, push it in, come back. And we can also lower this to go and de-score. 6-inch spot, of course. So we have wings. So we had just front wings, plastic here, get over the corner, de-score. And I added these polycarbonate just circles here, that way against the wall they'll act like the wall riders. And I also created these wall riders inspired by BarkBots. Shout out BarkBots. They used these on their robot for States, I believe, or some signature event, and I didn't have all the tools they had, so I put these in a drill press and spun it, and I held the Dremel against the side to cut off the teeth, and those worked really well. We had sleds on the front and back. 45-degree sleds, that's the best angle for them. And we also had kickstand. So for starting the match, we put it on kickstand, have pretty much the fastest rush you could possibly have. Really fast drivetrain, 8 motors, plus a kickstand to get extra distance. Oh, and also forgot to mention, the intake is inspired by Run It Back. So we use pistons here, they only actuate backward with power, hold it up, and then they come back right here with the zip ties on each side. So we also have a high hang. It's not gonna come out because I messed it up, but I think it's leaking. We have a high hang here, and we're able to PTO to the drivetrain, and it comes up and out. Because we're so short and this hinges so low, we actually do have to climb back onto the bar to get high enough to go in there. But it did work. It worked okay. I think it would have been better with the seats here instead. But how we do it, we have PTO right back here. So this piston right here pushes against this black gear on both sides, and it's through a pillow bearing on both sides with the standoff. So when it actuates forward, it'll push both of them like that, and now it's PTO back here, and that would pull us up. The strings were a little bit wonky. If you saw any of our matches where we actually hung, which was I think only one where it actually worked, because we did have problems with the release mechanism that we changed for the last day of Worlds. Before, it was like holding it down. For the release mechanism, we had the old SMC pistons just poke through these metal shaft collars and then release, and that allowed the rubber bands to pull it up. But the strings were a little bit different, so one side would rotate a little bit. So we only end up hanging, we wouldn't be flat, we'd be like that, but it was still the same tier. Didn't really matter. Anything else? Let's see, we have wings. We stacked all the pistons here. Like I mentioned before, to fit these motors on here, it's through this pillow bearing. I guess you're not able to see it at all. It's through this pillow bearing. Right there. And then it goes into a spacer back there that goes into the motor. But because the motor has those little metal guide things, you have to drill the spacer one size larger than it actually is to be able to fit it, to have it fit correctly. And the ratchet on here, it's just a little screw that comes down. It's kind of tight because the intake got all bent, transporting it back, because I didn't secure it besides just like putting some towels around it. But it comes up right here, and it's just gravity pulls it down enough with how those metal lock nuts are tightened. And yeah, I think that's about it. Good luck and high stakes. And I did forget to mention a few things actually. This is these are the two inertial sensors we use. I find 2 is very good to average it out, get more consistent readings for my PID loops. All my PID loops are my own. I didn't use any templates or anything. But then the screw through here goes onto here for the intake, which is pretty unique. And because that's the only way we could fit it. This side is all bent, ignore that. Also, this intake, we made it low profile. It's supposed to be really good for steeling. Unfortunately, these plates had to go here. Originally, I had them on top of here, but then they said that was illegal. So this was the only place they could fit. And what else was I gonna mention? Oh yeah. For the drivetrain, how you're able to fit it, you can't fit any of those thin spacers you get off of the McMaster car in here. It'll be touching the wheel. So you're able to use a standoff just to make sure this can't move. And if you put it right, it shouldn't cause any extra friction. And all these axles are held in by this plastic. So there's no metal shaft collars on any of our wheels except for the back one that connects to the PTO. It's just the plastic on both sides, or the plastic in the motor holding in the axle so it can't move anywhere back and forth. And yeah, high strength axles all across. This is a very good ramming bar. Because our robot's so low, we were able to actually, when obviously this isn't down, able use this as like a wedge. So anyone who has wheels bigger than 2.75 inches or has sleds that pop out, they're just gonna ride up our robot and we can get a little bit under them to push. Because a wedge was something we really wanted to add, but we couldn't figure out how to fit it. So this was sort of a good in between. The wedge actually won us states on our old robot. And okay, I think that's actually about it. Oh wait, no, one more thing. And we just had this bulging polycarbonate to help pick it up. We tried rubber bands and zip ties and they all flex too much, but this was pretty good. And if it comes up, it will just pop down. So yeah, I think that's actually it this time. And yeah. Okay, actually I lied. We did have an A-tier hang on here Our robot was under 11 pounds, but after we added the hang, the high hang, it was no longer under 11 pounds and we could no longer A-tier hang. So we were kind of forced to take that off. It was just a real big waste of weight, and we had a pneumatic coming from here to push down. And that was actually how we originally released our mechanism here. When that actuated down, it would pop this up as well. But then teams could come and like force us down, like climb on top of our robot and force it down, which popped up one side, which meant we couldn't descore. So we got rid of that. But other than that, I hope there's a few things you could take off of this. The robot's just spray painted black with like some like shiny Krylon paint, nothing fancy. It actually held up much better than I expected. And oh wait, I should mention the joint on here is just a screw going all the way through boxed. And then there's metal shaft collars here, here, and here. So there's nothing on the top, but it's forced to stay in that position. It's a little bit squeaky now. And yeah, some unique solutions to design problems. Really just trying to get as much out of it as we can with a low weight and have 8-motor drive. Nothing too fancy, really. But, okay, I think for real, this is the end of the video, and this is my final robot. So, yeah, it was fun while it lasted.